Should soccer players practice zone 2 training? And is high intensity interval training really the best way to improve your conditioning for the game of soccer? So whether you're a soccer player, a sports coach, or a strength and conditioning coach, in this video, I'm going to try and give you some advice to improve your conditioning or that of your soccer players. Today, I just got back from a trip up to Reims in neighboring France, where I spent a day working with Baptiste and Jeremy, who are two strength and conditioning coaches of the team that evolves in the French First League in soccer. And since I have all these ideas in my head and following that great experience up there with the guys, I want to take this opportunity to share some of the ideas that I had and also how we can improve our general approach to conditioning for the game of soccer, whether we are in an amateur context or a professional context. So first and foremost, it's worth starting with the basics. What are the demands of soccer on the field? So we have a game that is an hour and a half long, and during a game, players will travel anywhere from, let's say, 3 to 4 kilometers all the way to 12 plus kilometers, which imposes a significant amount of distance on the players. But obviously, how much distance you run does not mean that you're going to play a better game. And we definitely have the best actions or the best opportunities to score and win the game in high speed, high agility, high technical and tactical contexts. And obviously, this is where the game of soccer can be won or lost. It's getting to the ball first, it's making that right decision, it's cutting at the right moment, and obviously the technical ability to put the ball in the net at the end of the day. But we can come out of this, the specific demands of soccer, and think about what the general physical preparation, the GPP, is going to be for soccer. And for me, there's three main aspects that we need to cover. There's the speed, there's the strength, and then there's the endurance. And typically, the speed aspect is well understood. You need to be fast if you want to be effective on the pitch. And if you want to make the difference, it's going to be not only on top speed, but especially on starting speed. So anything that's acceleration based, starting from zero, and then making a difference on the first few steps, on the first few meters. And so this has to be trained, right? We need to train speed if we want to become a better soccer player. We need to train acceleration if we want to be a better soccer player. And in the acceleration component, we do have a strength aspect that is important, right? Because many soccer players will say, well, I don't need to do squats because I'm not a weightlifter, I'm not a CrossFitter, and I don't need to do squats on the field. So why would I do them in the gym? Well, there are multiple advantages to approaching your physical preparation from a global perspective and from a general perspective. For the strength side, you're going to strengthen your muscles, your connective tissues, all your joints are going to benefit from strength training. So when we talk about structural resilience, this is going to be built through heavy strength training. We're also going to develop some economy from a tendon standpoint, and this is going to affect the way that you run. It's going to affect your ability to produce force. For example, on an initial acceleration, we know that if we think about the force side of the force velocity profile, well, when you have to start from zero, when you have to start from a standing all the way to your top speed, strength is going to play an important role there. And it is going to give you an important base in order to accelerate better. So working on your strength, and especially heavy strength training, will help you with acceleration, will help you with being more resilient as a player, and will help your running economy as well. Now, when it comes to the endurance side, what we see a lot in today's soccer, whether it's at the amateur or the professional level, we see a lot of integrated work with the ball on the field. We see a lot of short, high-intensity interval training work to condition the athletes, because this is what's going to look like the game the most. And it's also going to tailor to the more explosive, powerful profiles that we see in soccer players today. And this is important, and this has its place, and we need to work in an integrated fashion with the ball on the field, and we need to work on short and intense bursts of intensity And I would even say that if you need more technical and tactical development as a team or as a player, you need to do more small-sided games, more integrated work, and with the ball on the field. And this will be very beneficial work for you. But I also think that we're forgetting the general part of conditioning, which is simply running. And during a game, again, you're going to cover a few kilometers, and during your training week, you're going to cover a bunch of kilometers as well. It obviously depends how many times a week you train, but there's a high likelihood that you're going to go 10, 20 or more kilometers in the week, depending on your level, depending on your current level of fitness. And so soccer is a running-based sport. And if we want to be conditioned to the best of our abilities, if we want to exploit our full potential, we need to consider the slower and longer distance work that we can do with running. And here we talk obviously about zone 2 training and medium intensity training, whether it's tempo or threshold runs. Things we'll typically find in any good preparation for a 5K, a 10K, a semi-marathon, or even a marathon. And no, the goal is not to become a marathon runner as a soccer player, but I think this is a question that you need to ask yourself as a player, or if you're a sports coach in soccer or a strength and conditioning coach, you need to assess each player that you work with, and you need to ask the question, is that player or is my team limited by their general conditioning? Meaning, are they able to recover from an intense sprint quickly to go on to the next one? Are they able to last 90 minutes in the game on the field and still be performing towards the end of the game? Maybe for professional soccer players, are you able to do 2 high intensity games, full games in the week? Can you recover? Can you perform at your best? And can you even assume the training load of your practices and your strength training sessions and the games during the week, regardless of your level? And if you can't answer positively to those questions, you're probably lacking endurance, or your players are probably lacking some kind of endurance. And yes, small-sided games, integrated work, and high-intensity interval training will help your conditioning up to a point. But if it's the only thing that you do day in and day out, at some point it's going to stop paying dividends. Why? Simply because the body gets used to any stimulus that you impose on it. And at first, it's a very potent stimulus because it's new and because it's intense. But once you've done it over and over again for 6 months, for a year, for 2 years, it really doesn't pay off the same as it did at the beginning. And that's when it's time to look for other means of training. And yes, zone 2, in my opinion, has a place in this general physical preparation, because even though the action on the field that are going to determine who wins and who loses on a soccer pitch are not determined by how much zone 2 you do in your week. As we said before, if you can recover better between sprints, if you can recover better during your training week, if you can tolerate more training load, if you can recover quickly from games to go straight back into training, straight back into the next game, this is going to have a positive impact on your performance. And you should be able, as a running-based sport athlete, you should be able to run straight for an hour straight at an easy pace, and that shouldn't be really hard for you. If it is, again, you have massive potential for development with those kind of intensities, and you will likely benefit a lot from that low intensity training. And obviously you have to balance this with the other demands that you have. You need to be good at soccer, you need to know how to play with the ball, you need to know how to play with your teammates, but you also need that base of endurance that is going to help you. And then when it comes to the other types of running intervals, whether it's tempo running or threshold training, all those types of training sessions that we don't see a lot in soccer anymore, that used to be part of conditioning in that sport in the past, but that have kind of faded away and been replaced by integrated games, small-sided games, and high-intensity interval training. Well, those types of runs do have their place, especially again if you're lacking endurance, if you can't recover well enough, if you can't repeat sprints well enough, if you can't last 90 minutes on the pitch at your best level. All those things need to be addressed, obviously, on an individual level. And for this, I do think that going back to some pretty basic assessments, some endurance assessments like a step test, can be really interesting to determine your individual level as a player, or the level and the profile of your different athletes and players on the team. And then based on this, establish some minimums that they need to obtain in order to be quote unquote fit enough for the level of game that you're playing. And then for those that maybe don't reach that level or can't reach that level yet, you should implement some low and medium intensity running work so that they can do more kilometers, become better at running, and eventually simply improve their conditioning for the game of soccer. Obviously, this is all in parallel to speed work, to some strength work, and to some soccer practice, pure sports work. And all this needs to fit into the global preparation. And obviously, depending on your level, you don't have the same amount of time, you don't have the same means to dedicate to training, but you need to find what's right for you. And remember that you don't have to train the same year round. You can have phases where you focus on different things. And maybe if you have a break from soccer at some point in the year, this is the good time to tackle your endurance work if you don't have time to do it in season. But I do think that we can go towards a higher level game and some better performances, some better recovery, and also potentially limit the rate of injury in soccer by improving our general conditioning, by taking this very global and general approach to training for the sport and making sure that we have fit athletes, we have fit players that can run a lot, and that can also obviously run fast and play hard with the ball on the pitch. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment below, and I'll see you in the next one.